Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for another reaction slash review to my first time listening to an album. So for this one, it's going to be a little bit different. I am a huge fan of this band. The band, if you can tell from the title of this video, is called, I believe it's pronounced MUCC, from Japan. And they are one of my favorite metal bands of all time, and definitely one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Japanese band of all time. I really like their style of metal, and if you're not familiar with them, I'm going to talk about them a little bit in a second. But first, I just want to say I don't have any other MUCC gear. Usually when I do a video like this, I'll do some special stuff, try to wear a t-shirt or something, but I don't have any MUCC stuff. It's pretty hard to find that kind of stuff here in the United States. It's actually really hard to get a hold of their CDs, and so over the years I managed to buy some used. I don't think I've ever bought one new, but anyway, so I got my Rob Zombie shirt on because as I'm filming this, it's October, and so I wanted to point out I got this sweet pumpkin that we got yesterday at a pumpkin patch around our place here. So this guy's going to sit as a little mascot here off to the side, and I got two sweet gourds that I found at the pumpkin patch. Picked these out myself. I'm a big fan of these weird shaped gourds. I think it's awesome. So we're just going to have these guys here kind of chilling. And got this sweet one too. I don't have anywhere to hang this, that would make sense for the video, but that doesn't matter. So they're just going to be here chilling throughout the video. I got my Rob Zombie shirt on, as I said, because it's October. We're getting close to Halloween. MUCC is not like a scary band or anything, but certainly they would be a perfect band to listen to around this time of year. As I mentioned, I'm a big fan of theirs. It's hard to get a hold of their stuff. So, unlike most bands that I truly, truly love, I haven't been able to get all of their albums from their whole career up to this point. I do have a bunch, though, so I just want to share real quick which ones I do have. The earliest album I have from this band, which I believe they started in the late 90s, is from 2004, and this is the one I most recently acquired, and I have listened to this one the least, but this is, I believe I do not speak Japanese, I should mention that. This band only sings in Japanese, with maybe a few English words smattered throughout, but it's all Japanese. But their 2004 album, Kuchiki no Tou, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. This is the earliest album of theirs that I have. Really like it, and this is when they sounded a bit more like Korn, just for reference, in terms of what they sound. They don't really sound like Korn nowadays, though they always have a few songs that might be a little more Korn-inspired. But they're a lot more fun than Korn. Then I have their album 6, which I believe was their 6th album, which means I'm missing their first 4, I believe. This album's really cool because it's very dark, and it's not their heaviest album because as they've grown in popularity as a band and matured as musicians, they've done a lot of really heavy stuff, and the heaviness is something that they've been able to do a lot better as they've gotten older as musicians. And so this is a heavy, raw album, which is really nice. I like this one. It's pretty short, though, but still a really good album. Then I have Gokusai, which is when they started to get a little bit more fun after this sort of metal, though I think that they always started as kind of like a pop-punky band. I've never heard their super early stuff, other than what I've heard on this, which is a best of album. This is the first MUCC CD I was ever able to find and purchase. I had found MUCC online many, many years ago, probably back in, I'm going to say 2008 or so, maybe. It would have been around 2008 because on the same time that I saw this CD in a store and bought this one, they also had, I lied earlier, I guess I did buy a new copy of one of their albums. They had this album, Shion, which is their sort of attempt to break into the United States market. So there's actually some US versions of songs on here. They're not in English, but I think there was some stuff that's just for the US version of this. But anyway, both of these albums came out in 2008, and this is sort of like a greatest hits of theirs up to this point. But MUCC is known for having kind of like funky compilations of greatest hits, and they have a lot of like worst hits compilations too, which is kind of interesting and weird. I don't know if that's like a Japanese thing or just something that they like to do, but they're definitely a band that doesn't take themselves too seriously, even though some of their stuff is like the heaviest music I've ever heard. But so this best of album is really cool, and it introduced me to the band, and like I said, at the same same time when I bought this. This has a lot more of the early pop punky type of stuff on it. I bought this album, and this album is a lot more poppy than their previous stuff. And as I said, it's their attempt to kind of break into the U.S. market. It didn't really work, as far as I know. They've only maybe toured the United States a couple of times, and I don't know if they've ever toured since this album. But anyway, it's a really good album. Got me into them. The production on it is a little interesting. You can tell they were trying to go for more of a poppy production sound. So it's definitely not very heavy at all. It's probably their least heavy album, actually. And they were really going for a pop mix with bigger louder drums, louder kick and snare in the mix, and louder vocals that are a bit more forefront. Lots of background vocals. But lots of melody and not a lot of super heaviness on this album. Which MUCC is a band that's known for melody, but they really turned it up on that album. Then we have what is actually my second favorite album of theirs. This is Kayutai, and this album has one of my favorite songs of all time on it. I can't remember what it's called in English. I think it's Ageha, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. But it's an amazing track that starts off with acoustic guitar and then just becomes like crushingly heavy, and I totally love it. But I love this album. This album is a really, really cool combination of everything that they've done up to this point. It's very raw sounding. The guitars and the drums are very raw, garagey sounding almost, but there are still synth elements to it. And this was, I believe, their first album where they had sort of like almost like a little jazz break in the middle, where they had a song that's like just a total straight up sort of pop jazz song with lead piano on it. And so I really love that on this album, and they kind of continue that tradition moving forward onto their album, which is sort of their most like electronic-y pop album. This is Karma. I love this album. This one took time to grow on me because it's so different from their other stuff, but there's a lot of like electronic stuff on here mixed with the heavy rawness from their previous album. They kept the raw nature of the guitars and the drums and everything when they wanted to be raw and heavy, and they added a lot more sort of like synthetic pop elements, a lot of affected vocals on this as well, like intentional auto-tune, things like that. Really great album, really good ballads on this one, and good jazz stuff too. Then they had their album, which actually I think I have an additional cover for this one, but this is Shangri-La. And this album is sort of, again, a combination of everything they've done up to that point, mixing and still staying with the very poppy sound. A lot of this stuff on here sounds like it could be used for like an anime soundtrack or something. So definitely poppy, but again, staying with the heavy, a lot of detuned guitar riffs on this one. So making it a little bit heavier sounding in that regard, even though still all the songs very melodic. Then we have The End of the World. This album's really cool, just a black cover on the back. I don't need to show you, but it's actually really cool packaging. And it actually came with a guitar pick, which I have here. Just has MUCC on it. But this album it was the first one that kind of disappointed me a little bit as I got it. However, in reflection, again, listening to it more after it first came out, I learned for it to grow on me a little bit. This album has sort of the least infectious melodies on it, I feel, of any of their albums that I have, with maybe the possible exception of their first few albums that I have. But this one, there's a little bit more experimentation. The first song on here is awesome. It has a cool piano in it. It's a very neat song with a really cool vibe. And then we have what is my favorite album of theirs, their most recent album, and that comes with a little bit of an asterisk by it. But this is Miyaku Haku, which fans of my channel, there are no fans of my channel, why do I even say that? But if you are familiar with my channel at all, you'll know that this album was I think it was my number 2 album of the year that this came out. And it was only number 2 because my favorite album of all time, Artisten and Marlene by Janov, a Norwegian artist whom I absolutely adore, he released what is, in my opinion, the greatest album I've ever heard that year. And so this was number 2 that year. And this album is great because it's a combination of everything. There's not so many sort of like pop elements on this, and they didn't do like a jazz song, but they did do like an electronic song in the middle. And I think this is like the heaviest MUCC has been in terms of like low, gritty, distorted guitars, like detuned with like crunchy riffs. It's not like super fast, and it's not necessarily like incredibly intricate, though the guitar player for MUCC is one of my favorite guitar players. He plays things that are not very characteristic of bands that use like super heavy riffs all the time. And so there's all the MUCC albums that I have. And like I said, it was really tough to get these over the last, I guess 10 years or so that I've been collecting them. And the bad thing about the album we're going to listen to today is I was not able to. I've been waiting for months to do this because I believe the album came out back in like June or maybe even earlier. But I haven't been able to find a copy that is like cheap enough for me to be able to get it. I really want to try to not spend over $30 on this. I'm a super cheap person, and I love to have my music in physical form. And as CDs are going away as a form of media, I find I'm going to have to spend more and more. And I get that. I understand that. But I want to really try to keep things within a manageable price. And so if you're watching this and you can find a way that I can obtain this CD for less than like $30, that would be great. I've only seen a few copies on eBay. It's not on Amazon as I'm filming this video or anything like that. I've been checking every few weeks. But I did manage to find some files online that we're going to listen to. You can also listen to this on Spotify, and I was going to do that, but I didn't want to have any ads because I don't subscribe to Spotify Premium, and I like to do just the full CD version so that I can fit the songs into the video at the end of this. However, I'm not going to be able to have the songs in the video, as you are probably aware, because of copyright infringement, and I don't want to infringe on the copyright. I don't want to take anything away from the band. I suppose if a member of MUCC ever listens to this and you have control over the rights to your music and you message me and say, hey, you can throw the music in your video, I would gladly do that and re-upload it. But for now, we're just going to keep it the way I've done the rest of these videos. So if you're not familiar with those videos, what we're going to do is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to listen to the album for the very first time and basically just talk you through how I'm feeling and what I'm hearing upon first listen. I'll talk about it a little bit afterwards, but pretty much that's going to be the bulk of the video, is just listening to the album for the first time. I'm a very production-oriented person. I'm a recording engineer. I've worked on several albums, nothing big or anything that I'm sure you would know, but still projects that have given me sort of I feel like, an interesting way to look at music. I'm not someone that really tries to connect with a song emotionally or like lyrically or anything. I don't try to pull too many messages from songs, which is one of the reasons I love to listen to music that's not in English, even though English is the only language that I speak. So with that in mind, this whole album is going to be in Japanese. And so I find that my way of listening to and enjoying music really lends itself to listening to things that are not in English. So if you're the type of person watching this, you love to listen to only music sung in English, this is not going to be music for you. However, if that's something you can get over, and that you can enjoy heavy music, I think you're going to really enjoy this. This whole album, for all I know, which this is one of the things that's great about MUCC, you could hear literally any type of song on any one of their albums. They have like country guitar riffs in some of their songs throughout the years, and they have the heaviest things I've ever heard, the most poppy things I've ever heard. And that might sound to me like almost stereotypically or cliched like Japanese metal. But in this case, and I don't say this lightly, like MUCC is a very special band. They know what they're doing. And I feel like of all the Japanese metal I've ever heard, which is not all of it, it's not even really a lot, I would say, but I do listen to it every now and then. This is by far the best band I've ever heard, and I really feel like they're one of the bands that truly goes the extra mile to put every single sound that you hear in its right place. Their song arrangements are incredible, and almost all of them have these giant soaring choruses, and so they're very melodic. But then they also have these super chuggy, heavy riffs, but that still might have elements of pop music over the top of it. So it's a really cool juxtaposition. For all I know, this album is all acoustic or something. I've heard 0 seconds of this album. I have no clue what it sounds like. And so I don't know what it's going to sound like, and I'm super excited about that. It's one of the cool things, one of the things I love about this band. So what I'm just going to do here is I'm going to put my headphones on, and we are going to listen to this album. And like I said, I'm just going to kind of walk you through my thoughts. So if you have a copy of this album, or if you're going to listen with us on Spotify, this album is called Aku, which I believe it is spelled just A-K-U. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it's referencing or anything like that at all. I just know that that's what this album is called. Oh, I mentioned earlier, real quick, there's an asterisk on this being their second most recent album. Last year they released an album. I don't know if it was a full album, but it was something about I believe it was like a soundtrack to some sort of a story they wrote, and it was like Kuwawara piano tribute to the living dead or something weird like that. I think all the songs were original songs. I don't know that much about that album. I listened to it. It really didn't sound like a MUCC album to me. It sounded like a side project or like a. I don't know that much about that. So if you're someone who's familiar with that, let me know in the comments like what that album actually was. But as far as I understand it, I don't count that as a full MUCC album. So that's why I'm saying that I have their second most recent album and then this one now. I'm looking for a physical copy of. You, if you want to listen along with me, can listen on Spotify, like I said. If not, if you have the CD with you and you want to just hear my thoughts, I'm going to be pushing play right now. All right. Track 1. Here we go. Piano is the first thing I hear. Ooh, whispered vocals. Oh, big drums. Gang vocals, love it. Synth and piano over the big heavy riff. The riff is more towards the middle, not super panned. Oh, now we got pan guitars. Yeah! Oh, there we go. Half tempo. There we go. Get it. Ooh. Big gang vocal chorus, like usual. A part of the chorus for them. Going right. Switching styles like this. But not in a way that I feel is gimmicky. Everything always feels very intentional with them and not gimmicky. More piano. More spacey, almost airy guitars I'm hearing. The panning is nice. The kick drum is huge. Very raw vocals, especially during the screams that he's doing now. I love the synths, the sort of background movement that's happening while the guitars are just these sort of enormous waves that are happening. There's not a lot of definition in the guitar. It's just big pushing element. And then in the background, you hear this sort of synth and the piano going. Oh. We have some acoustic guitar there, panned right in the middle. With a stereo piano, very wide piano. I might be hearing some English words in there, but it's really hard for me to tell. I don't want to sound stupid saying it. Sounds like he's saying, it almost sounds like he's saying Breaking Bad and something mad, but he's probably saying something in Japanese. Again, I don't really listen to the lyrics very much, just the melody. Nice vocal layering with sort of not necessarily a scream. The vocalist doesn't do a ton of like super guttural heavy vocals. It's a lot of soaring vocals. And there's a few moments where it gets much harsher and raw, but necessarily guttural growl. And not necessarily high-pitched yell really either, or scream. It's kind of a nice in-between. Big synths that sort of like are setting out here as the song's fading out. Not fading out, dissipating. Ooh, track 1, love it. Track 2, starting with a bit of a room-sounding tone on the guitar, or the drums. Nice riff with some leads in there. Oh, nice chaotic riff. Oh, that's a heavy riff for the verse. Panned clean vocals during the verse. Very interesting. Back to the intro riff, but without the sort of effects. layered overdub vocal, spread a little bit wider. Very wide vocals. I'm really noticing the panning on this. It's panned a little differently than their previous material. It feels more open, but at the same time close. I almost feel like there's more reverb on the guitars during the chorus and things. Usually the guitars are kept pretty raw and dry. And this doesn't feel saturated or wet at all, but it does feel more almost backgroundy. It might just be what they're playing. Back to the main riff. Ooh, love it. I love the way the guitar player writes the riffs. Oh, now we're into the bridge, and it sounds like it's going to be heavy. Oh, and the snare just jumped up like 6 dB in volume. But not so loud that it upsets the mix. Vocals are just kind of a quiet talking with a scream in the background. The drums sound just like MUCC drums. I mean, totally makes sense. Obviously, you were listening to MUCC. But, oh. Okay, got some singing here. Into the chorus. Third time. I think it's the chorus. It's chorus sounding. Back to the main riff. Love it. Love it. Love the little break there, a little stop. Wow. So that was track 2. Now we're on track 3. Yeah. Keep it heavy. Lead guitar right in the middle. Interesting, okay. Still feels like it's building. What's it building to? Here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, heavy. Heaviest riff on the album so far, I would say. Lead vocal in there. This is a little bit of a Korn sounding riff, so kind of interesting. Speaking vocals. Not a big fan of that, but makes it sound a little bit more chaotic. Some happy background vocals with a interesting high-frequency, high-pitched lead guitar pattern on the right side. Not a complicated pattern, though, just an effect almost like Korn would do. Into the heavy riff, yes. Very crunchy. Love the guitar tones. I always love the way that MUCC's guitars work. The combination of the guitar and the bass really just make it feel just like soul-crushingly heavy. Okay. Very Korn-like guitar riff on the left side now. Both sides are doing almost sort of like sound effect sounding. The left side has some flange on it or a chorus effect, just kind of going very reverby, creating that Korn sound. So far no chorus though. So we're in verse 2. Went right from the verse 1 to the main riff, core riff of the song. Okay, now heavy with some screaming. We're getting some screaming, then some singing, then some screaming, and then some singing again. Probably. For those familiar with Spirit Box. Okay, now everything's just gone except a guitar. And I cannot wait to see what happens. Oh. Love the clean vocals. Layered. Here comes the singing. Reverb on that snare hit there going in. Now we got piano. Piano is mixed in. It's just as big a part as the rest of the instruments. Lots of reverb on the toms. Oh. Again with this feeling of the guitars during the chorus being reverbed. It's an interesting thing. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it's definitely leaving more room for the vocals to be prominent. So I understand why they did it, and it's also allowing just piano chords to be heard rather than just crushed out. Oh, I assume this is the bridge, and it's going to be... Oh, yeah! Oh. Oh, yes. This is what I want. This is what I want from this. It's so gratifying to have music that's heavy like this, but that's not necessarily... Now it's double tempo. There's just this aggression that happens, this like in-your-face aggression, this like intensity. This has all of that, but in American metal and a lot of metal, it's about being angry. And this type of music to me, being so many different things juxtaposed, taken, put together, doesn't make it feel like which this feels super angry right now, and fast, and I love the lead guitars, the heaviness, the rawness of the vocals, but because of the way it's all packaged together, it doesn't seem like this just like cliched angry thing. You can really hear the room on the snare. There's different reverb on there now on the snare. The snare stuff has really been all over the place the whole album. Like every section of the song could have different effects on the snare. Fast vocals. I love this. Oh my God. Okay, back to the piano's back in, and we're to the chorus now. Which this is only the second time I believe we've heard it. This song has been a little bit more progressive in its structuring. Piano runs, fills. Everything gone, just some vocals. Now the song could just end now, or it could go into the chorus, a bigger chorus. I'll be interested to hear if we hear the big reverb toms again. Trill on the piano. Okay, faster vocals. Oh. MUCC usually, as a rule, starts their albums off with banger after banger after banger. And then as we get further into the album, there can be a little bit more experimental stuff. And one thing that I didn't care for their last album was the way it ended. So I'm really hoping this album ends on like a super high note. I would love a long, slow ballad. Throw some strings in there. Throw whatever in there. Oh my God, that death scream now. Hardest I've ever heard him scream in a song. I love it. That's my favorite song on the album so far, I would say. I love all three songs, though, a lot. Okay, we're on track 4. Interesting drum edit there, but okay. Almost sounded like they cut out for a beat or something weird. But... Okay, better higher pitched screaming for him. This song is in a higher key. Or it seems like to me. And definitely in a higher key, listening to the guitars. A bit more of a straightforward song, I would say. Still heavy, though. You can throw anything in at any moment. Fast vocals. Big melody. If for some reason you're listening to this and just listening to me talk, which I can't imagine being very entertaining, but if that's what you're doing, please listen to MUCC and give them a shot. I will say that if you're not into heavy music, everything I've heard so far on this album, it probably isn't for you, because it's very heavy. Guest vocals. I heard a different singer there. Could be the guitar player who I know does background vocals, but I've never heard him do a line by himself like that. So if this song has guest vocals, see, this is why I wish I had the CD copy with me. I would have studied it before making this video to know more about it. Even though all their stuff's usually in Japanese, most of their albums that I find are English versions that come with translations, things like that. Which usually I don't even really read the words, but I like to read the credits as much as I can. The production notes, liner notes. This is one of their sort of punkier feeling. I love the vocal work on this album so far. Very raw and dry vocals, but that doesn't mean that they're not afraid to use effects on things or the vocals. And this song, if it does, like I was saying earlier, if it does have a guest vocalist on it, then that might be one of the reasons it was a higher key. Okay, that one kind of ended a little early for me. Track 5. Oh my gosh, the piano. I wonder if they had just added a piano player to their band, a keyboard player. The piano is so ominous there. I love it. Yeah, there we go. Yes. And just a melody on the piano. It had to be so hard to mix this, to keep the heaviness, but to be able to still hear the piano without just having it be drowned out. Okay, different sounding vocals. Like it, though. Pan, pretty wide. Totally dry vocal right there with the giant guitars coming in. And the piano that has a delay on it. Bum, 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 bum. With the, not a lot of high end in the guitars here, but that's a pretty stereotypical or typical MUCC thing. The sort of low-passed guitars that are just super heavy, so you can have the things floating on top of it. Oh, I love that synth there. I'm going to throw out a big giant guess and say that they may have added a keyboard player to the band. On their previous albums, they have a lot of electronic elements. As I mentioned, lots of keyboards, things like that. But as far as I know, there's never been a keyboard player in the band. It's just the members of the band doing the programming. Going back to that big chorus sound. Maybe it's not the guitars being so much reverb, but the piano being reverb. And the vocals definitely have more reverb on them in this song, at least in this part. As I said, that's one of the cool things about this band. They can have any effect on anything within any section of their song. Now we're just got a heavy riff going here. Guitar solo. This is the first real guitar solo we've gotten on the album. Wow, we're on track 5 already. Every time I do one of these videos, it shocks me how fast the time goes. And MUCC's albums are usually all pretty close to an hour long, so some of them are shorter, but you get your money's worth with the MUCC album. Huge vocals. The piano is really interesting to me. This whole album. That's why I'm wondering if they're added a keyboard player. I mean, this album could have been performed with the grand piano on stage, someone playing it almost the entirety of each song. And that's not part of the course for them. The reverb is a lot of reverb. That's prominent. Higher frequency reverb. Double time. And what I assume here is the second half of the last chorus. Oh, love it. Very groovy. Wow. That's track 5 for you. I can't even say the names of the tracks. I don't know what they are. I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce them right anyway. Okay, we're on track 6. Oh, here we go. Faster one. Again with the piano. And this one's got like upright bass. Slap bass, if not upright. Totally dry vocals. I love the driving piano. Very rock and roll. Totally ridiculous vocal overdubs there. Okay. This whole video is just me bobbing my head, I guess. I need to gain control of myself. Love the chorus on this one. I would say probably the most catchy chorus we've had so far this album. There's just no band that I've heard of that mixes elements the way that this band does. We got just a piano solo here in this song. Just a rock and roll piano solo. I love it. And yet the guitars feel heavy. It's just such an amazing thing to accomplish with your songwriting. Oh, my face is behind a shadow here, huh? Love it. I hope we get another solo section. At any moment, that they can do something rhythmically that is just so surprising. A big whoa section, of course. And, you know, something else that I commend them for, too, is that this band has literally everything at their fingertips. Everything. They can do anything they want to. However, they don't fall into the trap of being jaded musicians and being like, we have so many albums out. We've done every variation of everything that's possible. Let's just do wacky stuff that doesn't make sense and catches people off guard. We're on track 7 right now. Oh, I love it. This is a different sounding song. You can tell right away. We got the patented MUCC acoustic it's strumming over. And some like string patch synths. Love it. Anyway, what I was saying is they're not jaded musicians who feel the need to just do wacky stuff for the sake of doing wacky stuff. I love it when a musician or when a band plays what's required of a part and not what they feel is something they have never played before. I don't know if that makes sense, but um, I definitely know if you have musician friends that have been in bands for a long time, you'll understand. I love the keyboards in this. The synths are really neat. The rising, love it, and the dry vocal right in the middle, his mid-range voice, low voice. This song has a very much cleaner sound to it overall. I'm anxious to see when we get to the chorus, which I believe is coming right here. Oh, there's like a plucky guitar part that's kind of floating around. I love it. I love it. Oh, it's so great when a band can be so heavy and so poppy and so good at both elements. Like, you know, when I was kind of growing up as a teenager and stuff, metal was you didn't if you were in a metal band, at least all the metal bands I was aware of at the time. Guitar solo we got here in the background kind of. Um it's a forefront solo. But when I was growing up, if you were in a metal band, if you were listening to metal, you didn't everything just sounded sort of weenie and wussy. If there was like clean vocals, you didn't have any keyboards in your music. Everything was just about the aggression, as I mentioned earlier. And I never really vibed with that. I really like aggressive, heavy, intense music, but I don't necessarily need it to be angry. You know, I mean, fun, happy metal songs create a different atmosphere. So you're missing a part of something that's in a lot of angry, aggressive metal. But a band like this that can do happy, ballady piano things justice with the crushing heavy riffs, with happy sounding things, sad sounding. And a song like this is just totally just a pop song, basically, with real instruments. And they are known for that throughout their career. All their albums have poppy songs on them. I mean, this is just a great song. This is just such a MUCC song. I love it. The acoustic guitar work is really nice here. Lots of strumming. You can really hear the strumming because they have it mixed in with the higher frequencies. But that sort of like plucky electric guitar in the background, I believe it started the song. Something similar to that. I really love it. I love the way it mixes in with the rest of the song. And the lead guitar in this is amazing. Totally dry tom hits there. I love the string sound on that. Like almost retro-y sounding strings. Oh, and we got some pad stuff just sort of fading out here. I love it. That was a fantastic song. That's probably obviously like a single material. Now we'll be on track 8. Oh boy. Oh, the lo-fi-ness. Oh, yeah. That groove, baby. This has a corn feel to it, but... And he's singing like this, with a low on the edge of his voice. Though way better than that. Oh, man. I love this. I love every single thing that I'm hearing. Verse 2, I assume. You know that feeling when one of your favorite bands comes out with an album and it just nails it. It's just amazing. And they blow you away. You didn't think you could like them any more than you already did. That's how I feel right now. Very present vocals in the chorus here. This song was mixed with a different approach. And I love it. I like it a lot. Even the kick drum sounds a little bit different on this song. This one could have been recorded at a whole different studio. Mixed by a different guy. I hope I'm not yelling too loud into the mic. Oh. No, don't be over. Oh. Damn, well, they disappointed me there with the length of that song. I could have had twice the length of that. All right, well, I guess we're into the experimental stuff. We're back to the heavy crunchy with a sort of a synth lead in the middle, though it's pretty far back there. Palm muted guitars. The drums sound like they did on the previous song, so maybe I'm just overthinking it, but if that song was recorded at a different studio or something at a different time, I feel like this one was definitely recorded at the same time as that one. Could be totally wrong. Might have all been in the same time, and I just am noticing something different now this far into the album. We're back to vocals that have effects on them, but also still very present and very in your face. The kick drum definitely sounds different than the first three songs, for sure. Okay, interesting. Big chorus. Ooh, double time. Love the background screams, background harsh vocals. Oh, yeah. I've heard some swear words in this, which is not my favorite thing in the world. It doesn't ruin a song for me. Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh boy, I'm just listening to this one because I'm just like, what the heck? Guitar solo, love it. Love the patch, just a very dirty sounding guitar patch. I would say this song and definitely the one before this, which was all basically effect driven, like even not necessarily effect sound effect, but just like the structuring of the song and the way it was totally manipulated after it was recorded. The whole thing was like meant to be shocking almost. This is a lot more straightforward, but it's mixed with the same sort of principle, I feel. I really like this song. The chorus is a little slower, but the drums and the guitars are doing faster things. It's almost like a push and pull against each other. but then the guitars get a little faster, and the drums get double time, but because the kick isn't so prominent, it doesn't feel too driving. Okay, now it's in there a little more with the offbeat hi-hat. Very fun with the keyboards. This is kind of how the song started, I believe. If I can remember, 3 minutes and 58 seconds ago. Oh my gosh, that's track 9! Oh my gosh. Blowing me away, this album is. Okay, very clean guitar to start it off. Acoustic guitar. Organ patch. With an acoustic guitar, there was an acoustic guitar in there. A lot of the hi-hat very prominent in this song. Piano's back. Balancing very well done here with a slower sort of played guitar part, or slower played, like an arpeggiated sort of loose chord, broken chord part on the left, and on the right is the sort of chuggy, faster, palm muted stuff during the verse. Now we're just in the pre-chorus, I feel. Coming up to the chorus right now, I assume. Yep. There comes the acoustic guitar. Oh, yep. You know, I don't know if this is the correct way to think about it or not, but because I don't listen to a ton of Japanese music, maybe things like this section of this song feel more special to me. Because this does sound like a lot of, like, I love anime, for example. Any anime theme song could be this exact thing. Like, very similar sounding, soaring vocals over pretty heavy stuff. And very hopeful and inspirational feeling, this song. Great guitar solo right now. Piano chords. But maybe because I don't listen to a lot of Japanese music, maybe that's one of the reasons this band is special. And I like to think that the band is special. And to me, as an individual, they are one of my absolute favorite metal bands. And actually, I think they're in my top 5 favorite bands of all time right now. And so, and this album, by the way, fantastic. This is going to be it's too early to tell right now, but I don't know. I just wonder how much more special this is to me because of my lack of exposure to other Japanese music like this. I mentioned that I like some other Japanese metal bands, and one of my bands that I love to death is Maximum the Hormone, but they're such a different band from this that you can't really compare them that much. And that band is all about chaos, structured chaos the whole time. They have beautiful parts like this, but that band is all about the wall of sound, the 4 vocalists. This is just a well-written song. Just a good song. Key change there. Big soaring chorus. Here come more background vocals. And just that strumming guitar sort of on the right side as another instrument to keep the rhythm going. And they definitely thought out this way, but the cymbals were all on the left side. He was playing the cymbal over here, and the acoustic guitar is right here, balancing it out. Whoops, sorry. Fast talking. A lot of fast talking in their songs. I'm not a big fan of talking in songs, but the way that they do it kind of works. The organ still prominent here. I would say the organ was pretty prominent all the way through there, definitely during the bigger parts. We're on track 11 already. My gosh. Here comes the jazz one, for sure. All right. Heavy guitar riff. Okay, so they're going back to the formula of the first few songs. Heavy guitar, crushing guitar riffs with the piano. Dry vocals, a little reverb on them though. Still very close feeling. Love that synth patch. Big chorus. A lot of vocal layering here. Heavy vocal. And piano's back. Big chords. Guitar solo, okay. Okay. Song structures are very, very, very important to me. I like a stereotypical ABA song structure where you have verse, chorus, verse 2, chorus, bridge, chorus, out, basically. I'm okay with variations on that. That's just my favorite style of song. I like to know kind of what's coming, and what the most important thing to me is that the song finishes with the chorus, or at least a part that you're familiar with from earlier in the song, to come back. Which they just did here with the chorus coming in. Very dry background vocals as well, making it feel very big. And sort of a more chaotic sounding guitar riff to go behind all that. And the piano just back there filling up the space, thickening the space. I'd love to hear some crazy low notes on the piano, but... Okay, we got that cool synth patch again. Heavy riff, but double time heavy riff. And it's over. We got some short songs on this album that don't have that sort of extra part to them. This song was missing a second chorus, basically, or a second verse and chorus. Track 12. Love the bass right away. Wider reverb, more roomy sounding reverb. The bass is very prominent, and I love it. It sounds great. I feel like the song's holding back on being heavy, but the bass is still there being heavy. Low, spread out background vocals. Love it. This feels like a good continuation of the work they were doing on MUCC Haku. Ooh. Got some brass stabs in there. More piano on this song, a little bit more prominent. The bass is a little bit meaty, chunkier here. So I feel like whatever was happening in the first verse has been added to the bass that came in during the chorus there. It's still both going. Or the effect that was on the bass is less prominent. I'm assuming it was a case of reamping the bass and having two signals, the same signal but with two different sounds in it, basically. One a little bit more distorted and one cleaner, and they're both going at the same time now. Whereas the distorted one was a little bit more prominent in the first verse. I don't think that's real brass. I'm going to say I think that what we've got there is... Yeah. Maybe not. I don't know. They have had real brass in their songs in the past, I believe. It's very cool to have that extra element in there. Okay, there's the distorted bass again. Give me a cool solo here. You going to give me a bass solo? Totally different sounding guitars right here. I love it. More fuzzy. That sounds like real bit brass to me now. Ooh, that snare. Don't end the song there. I love the guitar. Piano. Go into the chorus one more time, please. Oh, we're back in a verse, I think. I like this song a lot. It's so... and I know I've listened to it all right here in one go, so it's all kind of melting potting in my head. But just to think back to how I recall this song starting, it's like, man, what a journey I've just been on with this song for 4 minutes and 20 seconds so far. I'm not losing interest, I promise. And now back to the chorus we are now. Are they going to do something for the end of this or just kind of end it more abruptly? I'd love some of those funky guitars to come back in. Love the vocals, whatever's happening there. Piano run. A lot of that on this album. Runs down or up. Love this. In the previous MUCC albums, they've done a lot of the whoa type of things. They did a lot of that on Shangri-La. He said thank you at the end there. Gomenasai. 6-minute song. Thank you, MUCC, for having a little bit of a longer song there. That's track 12. I don't know how many tracks are on this album. That's not the end, is it? Nope. Track 13. Here we go. I'm going to check. 16 tracks total. 16. So it looks like we might have 4 more. Love this so far. To make it wall of sound and then bring it back. Just have it right here. Just sitting right here. It's a little bit over here. A little bit comes over here, yeah. Vocals right in the middle. Oh, very prominent bass. If you got the acoustic guitar strumming in there, you know that it's one of their more poppy songs. For the most part. Bass, very prominent on this one. Almost a little too loud, in my opinion. Oh, classical acoustic guitar solo in there. Little fills. Violin. A very interesting sounding interval that the violins are playing at there, the violin part. I think it's the violin. Had a very oriental sound to it, which I love. Again, the bass super right here the whole time. But the vocal sits nicely over the top of it. Probably be a little bit muddy on not super nice speakers. Guitar solo? Guitar solo far in the background for some reason. I don't know why they like to do that. Heavy, chunky. Give me those solos and things more close to the front, please. Why are they so far buried back there? That was a weird thought there. It was done on purpose for sure, I'm sure. This is such a great album. I mean, unless they really mess this up on the last few songs here, this has got to be my number one of the year. There's been a lot of good albums, though. I don't know if I should say that, but MUCC has never had a number one album for the year that I've gotten it. Now, whatever. That's a tough thing to explain. I'm not going to go into that. And let's just take a second to say how great of a vocalist he is. Such amazing long notes that build or even, drop in intensity. Like the strings on that. That one definitely had real violin, real strings on that. So that was 4.5 minutes. That's song 13. Song 14, here we go. Are we going to get 16 full songs? Whoa. Weird. Interesting effect on the vocals there. Sounds much more lo-fi. Fix it. Make them cleaner, please. I don't have to be worried with MUCC. They know what they're doing. For a second, I was even thinking, like, is this like a demo or something? But ah, ah. I can't say it enough. Even though anything can happen at any moment, I love it when a song takes you on a journey that feels familiar. You have fun the whole time. You can enjoy where you end up. And if you know what's going to happen along the way, I don't think that that takes away from your enjoyment of it. I don't want to go on a whole thing, but like as I was mentioning a little bit earlier, like just doing things being sporadic and crazy and erratic for no reason other than to not be predictable, I don't like it. This I like. This is amazing. Ah! 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 Double tempo guitar riff there. I wouldn't mind a few more musical sort of instrumental sections in the songs. Longer length ones. I mean, that's what we're getting right now. Back to that fast talking. No language that I've ever heard sounds quite the way Japanese does when it's performed fast. Every syllable is attacked so hard and so precisely. I don't know very much about the Japanese language. Guitar solo? That's not buried in the background for whatever reason. It kind of is. It's interesting to me that they choose to do that. Maybe they do that because when they perform live, they only have the one guitar player, and maybe he doesn't play the guitar solos. I don't know. I've seen very few live footage of them, and to let you know, if you're listening to this in Japan or anywhere else around the world, in the United States, MUCC's videos are almost non-existent. It is so hard to find videos of them. And on Spotify, for example, a lot of their albums aren't on there that I love, like Miyaku Haku, not on Spotify. A lot of their albums aren't on Spotify. So, if I didn't have the CD version, I wouldn't be able to listen to a lot of this stuff. I'm not sure about Google Music or iTunes or anything like that, because I don't use those, but even just trying to find a YouTube video of like one of my favorite MUCC songs, it's very hard to find that, to share with people. It's hard to share their music because it's just not available in the United States, which is a big bummer. I would share this with a lot more people if I could. A lot of vocal. Love it. Vocal bends. Are they going to go back to the chorus? I don't think so. I didn't get to go, or whatever it was again. Only got to do it twice. Great song, though. 5 minutes. Track 14. We're on track 15. No? I don't understand all the talking. I mean, I obviously don't understand any of the lyrics. Okay. Love the background. The tone of the guitar is very nice, very clean. I mean, it's reverbed, but there's not much attack on it. Dude, wall of sound. Just love it. Oh, like that. That was a pedal, a pitch shift pedal, I believe. Or maybe it was just uh, a wah of some kind. I'm feeling pretty exhausted on this. Like this is taxing. There's a lot going on. Main vocal right in the middle. Keeping the big of the guitars. I wonder if this is actually the last song and the last track is just a small thing. But to get an album in this day and age when so many albums are just 10 songs, or for newer indie bands, 7, 8 songs, that's their album. To get a 15 or 16 track full album, that's cherry. I can at least hear the guitar notes in this solo. I don't know why on earth they're so far back there though. Maybe it had to do with mastering. I don't think so though, because this is mastered really great, in my opinion. See, there's louder notes. Those are. It's a decision thing for sure. They're doing on purpose. I don't really get it, but I guess not everything has to be forefront. Oh. Piano. Oh, that's just pretty. It's just pretty is what it is. Oh, that's how you write music. Just instantaneously makes you feel good. Or makes you feel something. Just right away. Huge. Just huge. Just taking up everything. Back to the vocals right in the middle. Just really pushing himself. He's so good at making it sound like he's just right on the edge of what he's capable of. But you can listen to this and know he's capable of anything he wants to do, basically. This is how the song started, with like a little bit of like a hip hop feel almost. Man. What journeys they take a song. Such a nice thing to be able to listen to a song and just feel it all the way through. And not have it be shallow. Or so technically complicated that it's hard to focus on those last piano notes there. It's like the album's saying, here's the piano that you've heard this whole album. Here it is. We're going to play it. We're going to end it. This is what you're hearing. So that's track 15. We'll see what track 16 is, if there's anything. Piano. Give me a ballad. Give me a 20-minute ballad. Just do it, whatever. I don't know how much room is left on the CD. Just do it. Give me a good ballad. Very intimate vocals. I think the best ballad they ever did was the little final song. I think it's the final song. Maybe it's the penultimate song on Kayutai. It just starts with it sounds like him, a microphone in the room with him recording, but not his mic, not the main vocal mic. And it slowly morphs into his clean vocals. We got some like military style snare drum, lead snare work, pattern stuff. And the piano, just the theme of this album for me, the ever present piano. Oh, that low frequency. What's the chorus going to be? I like the snare. It has a total. It gives the whole song a totally different atmosphere, and I expect that to go away. And I expect cymbals and everything to come in, and acoustic guitar strumming. I expect that, and maybe we'll get that. I assume we'll get that, but oh, oh, that kick. Oh, it sounds great on the strings. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted for the final song here. They're throwing it at me. They're feeding me what I wanted. And also knowing this is the last brand new MUCC song I'll hear for probably 2 years. Who knows? It's nice. It's a nice feeling knowing that I was so. Ooh, the strings are good. The strings are doing a string part. It's not just background lush. They are playing a melody of their own. Oh. Okay. Bit more crunchy guitar in here for this. Piano. The strings, amazing. Oh, I love it. Dugga 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 da da. Build it up. Love it. Break it down so you can just rise it up, bring it up. There are so many reasons music makes you feel the way that you do, and expectations is such an important part of that. Something can't feel nostalgic to you or familiar unless it has a basis in something that you can understand before you experience it. And I love music that is able to do that. I love the strings, the acoustic guitar. The piano, the ever present piano. Present, the ever present piano. I love that last little guitar note. It's like the band saying, there you go. This is it. This is the end. We got, for some reason, there's 45 seconds to go. Also, my battery's running out here. I'm gonna assume that that's the end, and there's just some extra time here. Amazing. Like, there was nothing on this album. There was one song that kind of shocked me in the way that it was crazy. I don't remember which number it was. If you were watching along with me, I'm sure you remember. The one that was a little bit more weird bluesy, had the lead guitar right in the middle and the crunch. Very different sounding from every other song on the album. We got 3, 2, 1. Okay. The album is 69 minutes and 33 seconds long. What an incredible album. My first impression of that is that this is MUCC's best album. But I'm hesitant to say that because I feel like this album was playing it safe almost the entire way through. They have, like I said, whole weird jazz songs that have almost no electric guitar in them whatsoever. And there was nothing to the degree of like that on here. There was nothing that like shocking or surprising. But the thing is, when a band plays it safe and gives you exactly what you want from them, and up until this point, they've never had an album, in my opinion, that was that consistent from front to back. There's always a song or two that is just, I can appreciate it because sonically it's great, and they might be making that song for someone who likes something in their music that I don't. That's not something that pulls me towards them. They're making that song for someone other than myself. But the fact that this album was just so high point. I mean, it's hard for me to even remember the first few songs. I know they were super heavy. I know I really enjoyed them. And I definitely think that theme of having the piano be a thickening agent throughout almost all of the big choruses on this album. And when I say thickening agent, I mean, you have kind of chunky guitar on the left, guitar on the right. And then a lot of the times on MUCC's previous albums, of course, bass in the middle, kick and snare in the middle, and the drums kind of spread out as into this in the stereo spectrum. And to fill the spaces with the big choruses, they'll have like pads or strings, some sort of like synthetic element that kind of fills everything with chords, full lush chords, and then also backing vocals doing either the part or going like, whoa, things like that, to kind of fill out everything during the chorus to make everything feel thicker and fuller during the chorus, so that if it gets heavy, it can be heavy. And if they have stops or pauses in their riffs, those things really stand out because during the chorus, everything is full and kind of flying at you, full momentum. Not necessarily speed-wise, but just wall of sound-wise. And on this album, it feels like they did have a lot of those elements in there still for sure, but they used the piano as a thickening agent to just play big, full, two-handed chords on the piano during the choruses. And that really gave the album a bit of a different feel. I said at the beginning of the album that I thought it was more reverb on the guitars, and I think the more I listened to it, the more I realized it wasn't reverb on the guitars. It was just the piano sound blooming and dying with the chord changes. And that gave it an interesting, different feel. In some ways, it feels like all of MUCC's songs like that have been like that forever. But I don't recall hearing a piano doing that in a lot of their other music. As I mentioned, they've had piano doing things, but to have a full-on piano in the arrangements of the songs, like I said at the beginning of the album there, at least a third of the way through, like I really feel like I would not be surprised if you told me that MUCC had a piano player or a keyboard player join them as actual part of their band for this album. So if I think that that's MUCC's best album, then according to the way I think about music, that's got to be one of the best albums I think I probably ever heard. I don't think there was a high that was quite as high as the songs that I love from them before this. My favorite song of theirs is a song called Killer. That's the English name of it, at least, which is track 4 off of Miyaku Haku. And then I said I like that Ageia or whatever. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. From Kayutai. That song starts off with just an acoustically played sort of classical riff with a little electric part going over the top of it, and then it just comes in with this crushing guitar riff. And I love that song. That's my second favorite song of theirs. So Killer is the first, and Killer is a song that has a sweet stop-go guitar riff. It has a great guitar solo section in it. It has all sorts of cool switches and turns in it that kind of take all of my favorite things from metal and put them all together in one song. That's a pretty groovy song with a big, giant chorus like MUCC did on almost every song on this album. I am just blown away by that. Like, it's hard to explain, but it's like too much to take in. Hold on, I see only got a few minutes left on my memory card. Oh, well, in that case, guys, thank you for watching this. Thank you for listening along with me. And I hope that you can check out MUCC if you didn't know who they were, though. If you made it this far into the video without knowing who they were, why the heck were you watching? Thank you for watching with me. Thank you for listening along. And thank you for enjoying this band. Go out and preach this band. Preach them to everybody. Tell them about this awesome album called Aku. I'm sure earlier in the video I put the picture up here somewhere or something, but just go ahead and throw it right up there now so you can see it again. And yeah, I'll just say again, thank you for watching. If you have a suggestion for an album you'd like me to listen to, I'll try to do it if I can get it somehow, or just listen to it on Spotify. Well, that might be it. Okay, I ran out of footage. I just want to say thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. Let me know if you have anything else. This is all about having fun. This is all about spreading music. Thank you very much. See you next time.